Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. This is episode 123. Wow. Time, I swear, sometimes just evaporates. So I just sat down to record, and I haven't recorded for a couple of weeks, but I didn't realize how many weeks it had been. So my last episode that I went out to you was episode 122, which was a really wonderful episode with a friend and current client who I work within her group program, Dorothy. And that went out on September 14th, called High Highs and Low Lows, What It Means to Truly Process Emotions and Find Your Inner Voice with Dorothy Johnson. It was such a wonderful episode. And that went out on the 14th, which was the week after I returned from my 2-week trip to Block Island. And so then it's been 2 weeks since I've sent an episode to you all. However, it's been, 6 weeks since I've actually recorded, because I recorded that episode with Dorothy before I left. And I had a couple other episodes that were scheduled to go out while I was gone. So hello, I have to be honest, I couldn't even remember how to set my microphone up. Anyway, I'm here, you're here, we're all here together. Thank you for listening. Happy October, happy fall, happy solstice. This is such a beautiful time of year. And here in Colorado, I'm just going to give you all some updates first and then share a little bit more in this episode and what's coming for the podcast over the next month, okay? So that's kind of the intention of this episode, is what's up and what's coming. So I'm in Colorado and I love fall. I think a lot of us love fall, but I love October because it's such a transition month. Here in Colorado, you can still get really quite warm, sunny days. A lot of the days are sunny. We've recently had quite a few rainstorms, which is amazing. We can also get snow in October. And we also get, of course, the beautiful changing leaves. And what's interesting this year, especially in my neighborhood, is the leaves are only barely starting to change. And I think that's partially because we've gotten so much rain. So it's October. We're getting the amazing chilly, dark mornings, and it's cooling off in the evenings. We get to sleep with the windows open and hear the crickets and have the fresh, cool air. And it's still green out. And it's 70s and warm during the day. And it's like fall gets extended in this way, which I love when that happens, because I feel like fall is really fleeting. Probably why I love it so much. And some years it shows up for a week and then we get a snowstorm and it knocks all of the leaves off of the trees and everything's dead. So when the years are like this, where things are still green, they're still transitioning, they haven't even peaked, at least down where I am, in color, it's just such a treat and such a delight. And then 2 weekends ago, I took a beautiful little hike with my parents and we got to see the golden aspens, and it's been a really lovely transition. And with that, I have some exciting update for you all that I'll talk about here soon, and a new program offer experience. I really prefer to call it an experience that I'm going to be sharing soon. But before I get to that, I wanted to recap my trip to Block Island. So every year I go to Block Island, Rhode Island. And if you're on my email list, then you would have seen this already, that I was there. I don't know if I mentioned it yet on my podcast, but I love to share some of these things on my email. So if you're not on that, it's just alignful.com/vitamin-D newsletter, right? It's the vitamin D newsletter. So if you're not on that, I welcome you to join. I kind of disperse what I share on each platform, but I spent 2 weeks in Block Island, and I go there every year with my cousins, and we call it Cousins Week. And they live in Boston, and their mom, my aunt, which is my dad's sister. So I go with that side of the family. And it started back when I went to college in Boston. I went to Emerson College in Boston. And at the time, both of those cousins, they're older than me, quite a bit older than me. They were both working in like high profile jobs at ad agencies, like really cool stuff. They're copywriters and creative directors, respectively. Really amazing women. And I went to college in Boston, and every year before school started, which was after Labor Day in the East Coast, we would spend a week in Rhode Island on the beach, and we started calling it Cousins Week. And even though I graduated, even though I moved back to Colorado, we've still continued that tradition. And now we go to Block Island, which is a tiny little island that looks like a pork chop off the coast of Rhode Island. And it's like such a trip to get there. I fly, it's like a 4.5-hour flight. So I fly from Denver to Boston. And usually that's like, it gets me into Boston at like 5:30 or so p.m. Then I take an Uber to my cousin Kim's house, and we have a fun little dinner and a drink, and I spend the night there. And then the next morning we get up, get ready, get all of our stuff in the car, meet up with cousin Sherry and my aunt Cindy, and we usually take 2 cars. We drive the 2 hours it takes to get to the ferry, which is in Narragansett, Rhode Island, and then we hop on the slow ferry, about an hour ferry ride from Narragansett to Block Island. And then you're on this amazing little island in a bubble. And we spent 2 weeks there this year and last year. And it's a great amount of time. The first week we kind of worked. So I did some work the first week. I took some calls. Wi-Fi was spotty, service was spotty, but it all worked out. And then I kind of eased out and took the second week off almost completely. And boy, oh boy, what a reminder of what it means to take time off. And I will ask you this, what does it mean for you to take time off? I think we all have a different relationship with time off. I have a very flexible schedule, and I feel like what happens is I often take a little time off, but I rarely take a lot of time off. So I have no problem checking out for a day or an afternoon or a weekend. That's like common for me. And it's great, but rarely do I check out for more than, say, 4 days. So this trip, I checked out on Friday and didn't check back in. So the 2nd to the 11th, I didn't check back in until the 12th when I returned home. And wow, let's just say this. It highlighted the areas in which I am out of balance, because I realize how often, I'm still reflecting on this, how often I'm checking in. So how often I open my email to check my email, how often I lift up my phone to check for notifications, how often I open Instagram to see if there's any new DMs, and how often I'm checking in with friends and voice memoing. And really it was showing me how tethered I am. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, the conversations I have, the friendships I have, the work I do, it's all very nourishing and fulfilling. And I don't need to be plugged in all the time to people, certainly, to work, to the digital space. So that second week, I really tried to unplug. And it was uncomfortable. Like I felt like I was missing things. Like I wasn't active almost at all in the group chats that I'm involved in. I wasn't reaching out to friends and talking to them. I even took the week off from my magical morning practice with Candace. So I was like, we're not going to send messages this week. I told John, I'm like, we're not going to have like all these back and forth conversations. We'll like do a couple check-ins. But besides that, like I need to untether. And it was so uncomfortable and also so nourishing. And it made me realize how much I don't do this. And I know that that's kind of the case sometimes with vacations is it highlights. I used to have a client who she loved being on vacation. And then when she'd come home, she's like, why can't my life be like vacation? And I think there's another side to that is when we're on vacation, it highlights where there's imbalances or disconnects in our life. So it's not like our daily life needs to be a vacation because then what does the vacation do? I'm actually not of the belief that like, if you do something you love, no day will feel like you're working. And it's like, I get the sentiment around this. However, I like having a working schedule and I like having weekends where I choose to not work. And I like having vacations that separate me from everything. Like I like having that structure. There's nothing wrong with working, right? I enjoy the work I'm doing, especially right now. Oh my gosh, with what's coming. But I don't want to be working all the time. And I also don't want to not be working all the time. I don't want to always be on vacation and I don't want to always be semi-working. So we can all find that balance within ourselves. But it is a great question. Like, why doesn't my regular life feel like vacation? Like, what's showing up in my day-to-day life that isn't in my vacation life? And is that something that I can can I merge, right? So I'm feeling more satisfied, more nourished in my daily life. And I think that's such a beautiful contemplation and something that vacations offer us. So for me, what I realized is I get worn down a lot of times because of how tethered I am. And a lot of that is self-created, right? I've created more space within my business, so I'm not tethered in the business for the most part in terms of like constant check-in with clients or constant like of overly full schedule for coaching or any of that. So I've created a lot more space there. But even though that's been removed, oh, guess what? I'm still creating tethers throughout my life. Whoops. Oh, it's me. It's me. I love being tapped into people's lives and what's going on and all of that. And I don't need to do it all the time. So that week off, I was in the 3D world. I was hanging out with the 4 generators, 5, because Sherry's husband was there for that second week. And I had lots of energy. I mean, for me, it was really interesting. I was getting lots of sleep, and like the mornings I was waking up and wanting to run to the beach. We were like, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile from the beach. So I'd run to the beach, do a beach walk or a beach run, do a little meditation. Sometimes I did a little morning swim, and it was like this spaciousness because I didn't feel like I had to check in with anyone, which is so different. Like even now I'm home and it's like, okay, I want to go on my walk, but I should send my voice memo on my walk. And actually, before I do that, I should make sure I reply to these texts, and maybe I should just check my email. Well, maybe I can do it. And it's like this weird thing. And like, does John want to go on the walk with me? Like checking in with other people and like with my schedule. So it was so fun to just wake up and feel free. And some mornings I woke up and just sat and read. And it was just so lovely. So one evening when I was there, just hanging out, we did, I'll share more what we did too. We called in aliens, which was so fun. But one night we were just out on this beautiful, huge property, Block Island. Most of the homes are like from the 1800s. Our place was built in 1760. Okay. Huge, gorgeous, like rolling hill property, old, funky house. Most of them are. You're like, are there ghosts here? But I had a talk in my room and I'm like, we're not doing the ghosts this time. But we also went outside and you could just see the sky. Like there was no light pollution. And we called in aliens. We had some like a little trippy experience with that. And we cooked so much delicious food. I went clamming, which I'd never done before. And we caught like 50 clams that then Sherry cooked up. Oh my gosh, I ate lobster. I actually ate quite a bit of lobster. We did some hiking. I mean, it's just such a beautiful trip. Definitely swimming in the ocean, sitting by the beach, making lots of cocktails, everything. It was just very nourishing and lovely. And one night, I would say, I don't remember, I think it was Tuesday night, so the 6th, I was sitting down. I was doing a meditation before sleep, and I started falling asleep. And then all of a sudden, these words were just pouring out of me. And I was like, oh man, I just want to go to sleep. Like, I don't feel like capturing this. But then they kept coming and they kept coming. And I decided, okay, I'm going to capture the words. And I opened just the notes document on my phone and just started writing. And what came through was all about this program that I knew I wanted to create. And I'd kind of started working with it, but it wasn't quite feeling, something wasn't quite clicking. Like I wasn't ready to share it and release it. I didn't know what was missing. I wasn't thinking about it, mind you. I was on vacation, not thinking about work. But these words were coming through all about the program, which is called the Emotional Edit. You might know about it. You might not. If you don't know about it, that's because I haven't been talking about it. But it is this program that I am so freaking excited to release, and even more so now that all of this information has come through. And what was coming through was like the reasons I was feeling disconnected from the program. So I started just writing it down. And at the end, this is what I would call a download. I don't use that word. I don't exactly resonate with that word, but once this came through, I was like, this is a download. This is some magic just being pumped through me, and I'm just capturing it. My heart was like sparking. Like I felt like my whole chest was just expanding and vibrating. I had tears. My whole body was tingly. And my breath was like, whew, like it was really intense. So much was moving through, and I felt so clear and connected to this emotional edit offer with this new insight and information that was downloaded to me. And I actually had to use my own work because I've talked about this before. Like we can get overwhelmed by feeling too bad, right? Like with the hard emotions, the heavy emotions, the sadness, the frustration, like we can easily get taken down and overwhelmed by that. But we can also get taken down and overwhelmed by feeling too good. And so I kept having to pause and breathe and say, it's okay to feel this good. It is safe to feel this good. I am safe right now. I can hold this. I'm choosing to hold this. This is allowed. I'm inviting it to expand. This is okay. Like really talking to myself to allow myself to feel and hold this level of expansion. And actually, I think I talked about it in the energetic upgrade episode, which was episode 118, what happens in the midst of an energetic upgrade. So I talked about like we can be overstimulated and fry ourselves by feeling too good. Too good, aka like it's not a feeling you're used to feeling. We get to expand our capacity to feel that. So I'm sitting there capturing, my arm is sore. And what was coming through was that I'm going to read some of this too, if you don't mind, because this is, well, I'll keep talking about this during this month, but it is just so cool. I said, I just had a breakthrough and this was coming through. Like this wasn't my mind. It just dawned on me why I've been struggling to fully grasp and share the emotional edit experience. I feel like something was missing, that the program wasn't fully formed, but why? It finally clicked into place. First of all, I'm over programs. I'm especially over digital programs, which is ironic because I operate in the digital course and coaching world. I also work with emotions, but emotions are hard to talk about it and address purely in the digital space because emotions happen in your physical body. I crave tangibility, physical experiences, touch, 3D, grabability that is an experience in itself, not a concept. I didn't know how to get that with an online program and create that for my people. I also crave depth and breadth. That's why I used to love one-to-one. So how can I mimic that in a group setting? And I want you to have a mind-blowing, earth-shattering, life-changing experience in a shorter period of time. But how can I do that without overwhelming? Finally, I want to be there with you, but not be in your way. How can I combine high touch with lots of space? And all of a sudden, right, as I was laying there, those were the questions that came through that I wasn't even aware that I was sitting with. And then midway through this beach vacation, without thinking about this program at all, yet my body had been working on the answers, right? My unconscious had been processing and looking for space while I was making cocktails, reading books, swimming in the ocean, and laying in the beach. Like my unconscious mind was answering these questions. And that's when, as I was capturing all this from my phone, it was like I could hardly type fast enough to catch it all, right? It was like this is coming together. And honestly, y'all, like I have never been so excited to release something so new and so needed. To me, and I know this is all just a big tease because I'm not fully explaining to you yet what this is. I want you to feel what I was feeling. Like there's like anticipation, unknown, but like clarity. This is the inspiration behind this and why I'm even letting this out, like, and releasing this to y'all is because these are the intentions behind it. This isn't talking about the problem that you have or the solution I provide or any of the like the typical marketing, right, things. Like this is just pure knowing that came through that I wanted to share. And as I was saying, I wrote this at that time. I've never been so excited to release something so new and needed right now. It is time to get off the computers and into your body and physical space. This isn't a program. This isn't a bunch of recorded videos to watch on your computer. This isn't even for your mind. This is an experience, an intensive, a re-entry to your emotional realm via your physical form and inner voice. This is you going offline so you can get in line with yourself and learn to experience your emotions in a whole new way. To give your entire system a tune up by tuning in and learn the language of your body once and for all. Welcome to the Emotional Edit, a 4-week exploration of the physical form, emotional body, and inner voice. You have arrived. Yeah. And that is what came through. And with that, a lot more that I'm not sharing at this moment, but of like what it actually means to create this physical, tangible experience as a digital offer. And here's the secret. We're bringing a physical experience into the digital space. This is going to be a tangible program for emotions, a tangible experience. It's merging the digital and analog world, just like your emotions merge your physical and energetic body. High touch, hands-on, intensive for you. And we're covering the 4 steps of high emotional IQ, which is being able to express, process, integrate, and regulate your own emotions, both past blocked emotional charges that have built up over time, possibly showing up as unexplained pain or physical experiences and sensations, possibly showing up as repeating patterns, things that keep showing up in your life and you don't consciously understand why. And not just that, right? It's like those themes happen in the past, right? Being able to express all that old stuff, but also as you become more ninja level and more adept at this, you can do this in the moment so that you're not creating any more built up emotional charges and you start to move forward with this clear path. And with that clear path, that's how you are able to listen to your inner voice, right? Emotional charges are usually what are keeping the mind stuck with your emotion so that your inner voice is protected, basically. If you have a high emotional charge in one area, chances are it's also hard to hear your inner voice in that area. So by clearing those emotional charges and that emotional buildup, we also clear the path for you to hear and access your inner voice. And by doing that, you start to truly release physical ailments and physical pain. You start to soften the grip of the mind, and you start to shed old ways of being, not consciously by trying, but naturally by releasing these charges. And so you're not repeating patterns. You're not stuck in a loop of operating. And then as you're going forward, you can hear your inner voice. It's so clear and it's guiding you and working through and with your body. And from that space, you're really able to expand in a safe, juicy, joyful, peaceful, life fulfilling, magnetic way that can only be possible when you're allowing your inner voice to really guide you and letting the mind take the supportive action versus the mind trying to guide and control and only letting the inner voice in occasionally. So they get to work together. We're just kind of flipping the script onto how they do that. And it's this beautiful way for you to clear the decks, clear the path, rinse out, like give yourself an inner massage and wash out all of the built up gunk and tar and goo so that you can emerge as you. So that is like the metaphorical, esoteric, energetic. If you feel it and you know it, come on in to the emotional edit. Like that's pure universal communication of what's coming through, what this program is. There's going to be a freaking welcome package that's going to help you. I've created the most amazing thing that I can't even wait. It's called the Emotional Edit Journal. And it's this beautiful physical way for you to tune in every single day during our time together. And there's other really yummy things that we're going to be doing in the physical space in addition to our digital live meetups online. So we'll be meeting online every week. The program is starting the first week of November. I was hoping to start it sooner, but due to printing physical, tangible items, it's going to start the first week of November, and it's going to be freaking magical. And as I said, or as what came through in the program is it's going to be mind-blowing, earth-shattering, life-changing experience in a shorter period of time. It's 1 month, 4 weeks, possibly 5, but starting the first week of November. If you're curious, and not even if you're curious, but at this point, if you're like, holy shikees, my body responded to this message, to this information, and I absolutely want to be a part of this, just put your name down on the wait list. I'll email the wait list soon. I have a little video that I'm going to record and send to everyone on the wait list and a special little invitation. So it's alignful.com/email-capture. So alignful, alignful.com/email-capture. I am capturing your email address. So you can go there to put your name on the wait list for the emotional edit. I'll be sending out a video to everyone on that soon with a special little invitation. And more to come. I will give you more tangible mind-based content about what's included, like how do you know if this is for you and all of that stuff. But really what I felt was most important right now is to share and let this out of like, here's what came through and this is why I am beyond excited to share with you. All the other stuff is just going to be my mind trying to work with the pure consciousness that came through and prepare it for other minds. But if you're listening to this, if you know me, if you know your inner voice and you know your body, if you feel that spark, that expansiveness, that like jolt within you of, oh my goodness, I'm called to this, I'm aligned with this, I want this, I need this, this is right for me right now, then trust that. You can trust that. And just put your name on the wait list because then you'll get more information and be able to sign up and follow that knowing. But if the mind is like, hey, we've got emotional charges, we're not sure, is this going to be okay? How do I know if this is going to be for me? Is this going to be too hard? Is this going to be too scary? Is this going to be supportive? Is it going to be too like floaty for my very focused mind? Is it for me if I don't feel anything or if I'm more numb? Is it for me if I feel overwhelmed by emotions? All those questions will get answered. So follow me on Instagram at Dana_Evans. Join my email, the vitamin D newsletter, and or just get on the emotional edit waitlist. All of those links will be in the show notes. And I'm just so excited. I mean, I have never not been so excited about any offering since 2 years ago when I released the Insight one-to-one coaching experience based on the sloth experiment. And now I'm feeling called to really pull away from one-to-one and dive into group. And this 1 month emotional edit experience is the stepping stone. And this is like my first dip back into group after focusing on one-to-one. And I'm so excited to serve you. I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm so excited to see who is like excited and called and like just drawn into the energy that I'm putting out for this program, because that's how I know like you're the people meant to be here. And I'm the guide for you as you discover and really expand your own emotional IQ and really learn the language of your body. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to work with you. I know that this message from this episode in particular, it's like, that's going to speak to your heart. And those are the people that I'm like, let's freaking do this. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful week. I'm so happy to be back on the podcast. Stay tuned. I'm going to be releasing more episodes over the next few weeks, like some extra episodes. And check on Instagram because I'm going to be polling the audience and then releasing episodes about that content. So thank you as always for tuning in. I love you. I'm so happy to be back. Happy fall. Happy October. Join the emotional edit waitlist. And until next time, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans or find me on my website at alignful.com.